On my way to Sip Shop Eat to set up as a vendor at their pop-up shop this weekend, I'm wondering to myself what kind of event this one will be. Of course, you always want to participate in an event that's going to bring in a lot of sales, but you also don't know how the event organizers are going to do for an overall experience for not only the shoppers, but also you as a vendor. So, in this video, I'm sharing my experience. Here I am setting up. I'm walking into the doors to set up first thing early Saturday morning. So, I'm going to share my experience with you guys, and what I'm going to do is talk about the things that stood out to me at this vendor event first, and then at the end I'll share all of the other vendors' booths for inspiration if you are planning to participate in your first pop-up or vendor event show soon. The energy is always so exciting early in the morning, setting up, ready to go and get started for the day. Shout out to the husband for helping me set up my booth. Usually I try to set up without him just because I've done so many at this point and he's kind of over it. But he really came in for me for this one because I needed some help big time for this particular event. I had some issues with my clothing racks, so gotta love him. All right, so here I want to begin by talking about my experience at Sip Shop Eat and what kind of stood out to me. So this is what you see when you first get there and start walking in. There were outdoor vendors as well as indoor vendors, and I was so glad to be indoors because it was freezing that day, but it was a little bit cheaper if you wanted to set up outside. I spent a little bit more money to get inside. Now, one of the biggest things that stood out to me as a vendor at Sip Shop Eat was the fact that they really invested in marketing. So they are a traveling pop-up shop, so they don't have a local following per se, but they really invest in marketing, and I think but what I mean by that is social media ads. So they do a great job to get people in the door, which is probably the most important thing. I mean, I'm going to show you just how busy it is in these next few clips. You can see that there are a ton of shoppers here, and it wasn't a random location in an industrial area. Here you can see my booth is full. And there are a million shoppers walking by. That's how busy it was, which was amazing because you don't want to get to an event that's dead, that has no shoppers, because the event organizers did a horrible job promoting the event. So that's one thing I'll say about Sip Shop Eat is, number one, and probably most important, they get people in the door. Next, you can see they had a fitting room for all of the vendors to send their shoppers to try on outfits, which is really important for vendors like me who sell clothing, because some vendors will bring like a small little changing booth, but it's usually kind of tiny. I don't personally bring one because it's just too much. I never have the space for it in my booth, but having that fitting room there that I could send my shoppers to was such a big deal. I've never had that as a vendor at any of these events before. Another great thing about this particular event is they have a theme and awesome photo op opportunities. You can see that actually the theme this year was on cloud 9, so that's why you see a lot of clouds and just like fun spacey things. Like, look at the awesome hanging clouds here. This was right by my booth, which was super nice to have that. They have lots of background areas for taking photos. They also have a nail booth, so you can come and get your nails done. You can also get a card reading, like a tarot card reading done at this event. And the tarot card lady had products for sale as well. So that's not something I had time for as a vendor, but it was kind of a fun experience that other events I've gone to haven't had. They also had this bar, so the drinks were included for in your ticket as a shopper, but they also gave 2 free drinks per day to each vendor. And if you had 2 vendors, within your booth, you got 4 drink tickets, which was amazing. I've never had an event organizer provide free drinks for me before. So that's like number 3 reasons why I loved doing this event. And not only did they have drinks, but the drinks were super cute. Here's another photo opportunity spot. They also had this like DIY jewelry making, bracelet making, necklace making, whatever you want to call it. The sign says jewelry making, so I'll say that. They had this table set up. I think it was free, but don't quote me on that. Here is another example of the nail bar, which was awesome. It definitely got a lot of additional people in the door and a unique moment for shoppers. Another thing that stood out was that they had cleaning staff ready anytime there was a spill, or just as the day went on and, trash fell on the floor, they would come out and pick it up, which was so awesome. I've never seen that at any other pop-up before. And they also had a security guard walking around all day so we could feel safe and make sure that, nothing bad happened, and we had security overnight watching our things. Next, they had free popcorn for all of the shoppers and for all of the vendors. So everyone at this event could go up and get a nice snack. They also provided pizza, like a lunch for the vendors, which is not, I've never been at a vendor event where they've provided me with food before. So 10 out of 10 recommend, just for the fact that they provide free food and drinks for the vendors. They really go out of the way for their vendors. Now here's a cute dog that came by my booth. So I want to pause and just show this cute clip of this cute dog. But I also want to point out what's in the stroller. So if you look right there, there's flowers in the stroller. And I wanted to show that because on day 2, this was a weekend event, which was a Saturday, Sunday. On Sunday, they gave free floral bouquets out to all of the shoppers. So I didn't get a clip of them making the bouquet, but I did steal this clip from their Instagram just because I didn't have a good clip of it, where they actually gave out an example of the bouquet to each shopper. They also had other fun games set out, just like cute things for the shoppers to do, like these tattoos. And they gave out these pink Sip Shop Eat bags to all of the shoppers, which is nice for me as a vendor. I don't have to give out all of my shopping bags. So these were the main things that stood out to me as a vendor at Sip Shop Eat. If it is a vendor event that you are considering doing in the future, I 10 out of 10 recommend. My sales were great. Not many event organizers go out of their way to this extent to make sure that not only the shoppers have a good experience, but the vendors as well. They even had a webinar ahead of the event where they provided all of the logistical details and info needed and allowed us to ask questions. So with the food, the drinks, awesome experience for the shoppers, I've never been taken care of as a vendor at an event like this. Now let's move on and take a look at the vendor booths so you can get some inspiration for your next event and maybe even check out the website of some of the vendors to shop from yourself. So there were all sorts of vendors with all sorts of products. You're gonna see so many things. Here we have a nail bar, so you could buy some fake nails. There were skincare vendors, and you just gotta love some of these setups. They're so aesthetically pleasing. Next, you can read the name of this vendor's booth yourself, top right on their sign. These products were related to Zodiac. I'm not going to read it out loud because I try to avoid profanity because YouTube doesn't love it. But yeah, they also had a skincare vendor, and this skincare vendor sold everything from fragrances to nails to lotions, etc. And what was cool about this vendor is they had a QR code on their keychain. So she told me that when she's out in public and people ask her about a brand, she just pulls out her keys and she lets them scan the QR code, which is linked to a link tree, which has all of her socials and website on it. So something to consider if you're trying to get your name out there and you meet people out and about. Next, we have additional vendors that have everything from sunglasses, clothing, all sorts of fun products, purses. It's always great to have a variety of products if you are at one of these events because you'll have something for everybody. Here's another clothing boutique. She only had one clothing rack, but she did have a mannequin and as well as a laptop with her website on it. So I think she could talk about her other products. Next, we have a organic pet treat booth, which is awesome for those of you with furry friends. So there really was something for everyone at this type of pop-up. And here's another clothing store. I loved her booth setup. She definitely paid for the bigger space. She has a mirror, she has a couple of clothing racks, and she also sells accessories, which you'll see in just a moment. One thing that stood out to me was that mannequin. I mean, hello, gorgeous. I don't think I've ever seen a mannequin quite like it. And yeah, she has accessories, jewelry, all sorts of products. So if you don't love her clothing style, you might like her accessories, which is super awesome. And here we have a fragrance vendor, and just love their setup. It's so aesthetically pleasing, crisp and clean. Love their matching outfits. They were actually super friendly and fun to chat with. I actually try to go out of my way to introduce myself to most of the vendors at these types of events because I think it's so important to build relationships and network with the other vendors. I try to get the phone number of a couple of vendors, follow them on Instagram, and maybe even like set up a group chat where I can talk to them about what kind of events I have coming up, as well as what kind of events they're going to be doing, and we share information like which events have done well for us in the past, which ones we're going to try in the future. And I just think it's great to build relationships and share information like that. I mean, hello, I have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to sharing information, so that's kind of my MO, but I probably failed at this event. I think I made it around to like 70% of the vendors to say hello, so didn't get a chance to meet everyone, but I did my best. Here we have the vendor who was actually right across from me, and I loved her product. I thought it was so unique and such a fun gift idea. It's actually a period wallet where, you know, you can store your pads and tampons in these cute wallets. And she had this awesome video playing on an iPad, and I love the way it's like framed because it really matches the aesthetic of her booth. But here you can see that it's basically a demo of how the products are stored. It's very visual for people who need to see the product in action. So if you have a product that you need to demonstrate to people, definitely consider something like that. Here we have another, I guess it's like a clothing store. I talked to her for a little bit. She had a really inspiring brand message, and she had these cards people could fill out that basically said, what is your wildest dream? She had her shoppers fill that out, and she talked to them about her brand. It's a really engaging way to get your customers talking and kind of an excuse to share your brand message. Now, this brand had a lot of cute products that I just loved, and she was one of the outdoor vendors. She has a lot of cute candles. The company is actually called Too Hot to Candle, which is such a fun, clever name, and her products are just so pretty. I love the colors. She had a lot of unique items, as well as, you know, some of the fun trends out there in the candle world. Very visually appealing booth, just with how colorful it is. She didn't really need to do much outside of the white tablecloth because her products really speak for themselves and make the booth visually appealing. She's also got a nice sign that talks more about her brand as well, and a tent. Super great. There were some other vendors outside. I didn't have a chance to chat with this vendor, so I'm not really sure exactly what their brand message is all about, but I think their target audience could potentially be kids. This vendor had some cool crystals, candles, jewelry. I think she did pretty well. I talked to her that day, and she was super nice. It's always great, like I said, to try to get to know the other vendors. Here we have Marnell's booth, which was all about jewelry and accessories. And she was the booth right next to me. She was super friendly. We loved the fact that she was Marnell and I'm Elle, so we kind of had the Elle thing going together. And she was all about networking. She wanted to get my contact information. We've already been in contact and shared some information about upcoming shows. So there's an example right there of how powerful networking can be. We have another clothing store. I definitely followed her on Instagram as well. She was super sweet. It was fun chatting with her too, and her booth setup was super cute. Here we have a girl who hand painted and designed all of this pottery, and it is just so pretty. I love the designs, the color palette. She was super sweet. you should definitely check her out online as well. And there were just all sorts of products at this event. So you're seeing that there's not really like a central theme, like we only have clothing and skincare and fragrance or anything. There's all sorts of products, lots of jewelry and accessories, and you can see there were multiple vendors that had falsies and all sorts of beauty products. It's always fun to go out and kind of start shopping with some of the other vendors. I'll definitely be pointing out the vendor that I wish I had purchased from in just a moment. But I love the sparkly tablecloth on this one. It really makes the jewelry pop. Now this booth had a lot of homemade products like bath bombs, shower steamers, candles, all sorts of body lotions and various products. This booth, however, she had, I guess, cakes. They were desserts of some sort, and her booth was so busy. She sold out the first day halfway through, had to go home. Apparently she spent all night baking that night and sold out again halfway through the next day. So apparently if you are in the food industry and you sell desserts or delicious looking cakes like this, you'll do well. Okay, now here's the booth that I love the products, and this is the one that I wish I had purchased from. So she actually was a booth right next to me, so I talked to her a lot. This was her first event, and I was obsessed with her purses. Like, they were so freaking cute and original. Wish I had made the splurge and purchased a purse from her. She was so sweet too. Next up, we have two booths outside. So this one had a big sign and a clothing rack and some tables. Here we had an accessories vendor with the cutest puppy. Oh my gosh. Back inside we had a candle vendor, and I'm just obsessed with her backdrop. It's like a wall divider that she was able to put shelves on and make it into a shelving unit / backdrop. I'm obsessed with the color palette and just the overall aesthetic. I love that backdrop. I need it myself. And then here we have another fashion clothing brand. They had a lot going on here. So they have multiple mannequins. They had a mannequin out front, mannequin out back. They have a table with accessories, purses, jewelry. Their color palette is more of the pink, white, and black, which is so fun and so glamorous. They have a giant QR code on their sign, which is so smart. Makes it way easy for customers to go ahead and scan it, and just the whole setup, the backdrop, love it. We actually had one vendor who was selling artwork, and I was so impressed by his pieces. They are beautiful. Never got a chance to talk to him, but I should have. His pieces are just to die for. Here we have another fashion brand, and there's a lot going on here. She's got clothing, she's got accessories, sunglasses, she's got headbands, and she has a nice sign. And then she had these two bins out front. Not really sure what was going on there, but I'm sure it was some type of deal. And then here's another candle / jewelry / whatever she wants, I suppose, type of vendor. Her products are all handmade, and I loved these little like teardrop candles with the roses inside. Next we have a booth that, this was actually a child, actually two sisters, it was 2 or 3 sisters, I can't remember, and they were selling these jewelry, accessories, and Girl Scout cookies, and just gotta love entrepreneurs starting young. Here's another fun brand with a mixture of products and this really fun backdrop where it's like a shelving unit with their sign. Next we have a vendor selling scrubs. So perfect for anyone who is in the healthcare industry. We have another vendor selling accessories and various vintage style products. And lastly, we end with one final accessories vendor. She's got a darker color palette, but a lot of beautiful pieces to select from. And that's a wrap.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you had any questions about Sip Shop Eat or just being a vendor in general, getting ready for your first pop-up shop. Happy to answer any questions. I've got lots of videos with everything you could possibly need about getting ready for your first pop-up shop. I will link to the pop-up shop playlist down below. Make sure you guys subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed and learned something from it. It really helps me out. And here you can enjoy my blooper as I'm packing up my shop for the day. So with that, I will see you guys next time. Oh no. Losing my card.
Thought I was helping, but all right. So I got the bag. You grab the card. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.